Well, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, man. I messed up. Now, Salsa family, and welcome back to another Madden 23 video. In this one, we're gonna be talking about the entire situation with regards to selling off your team in Madden 23. Because a couple days ago, when the training variety pack was about to leave the store, I made a video titled, "I'm selling my team, and you guys should too." And of course, I sold off a large portion of my team and suggested you guys do the same thing. And unfortunately today, the training variety pack was reintroduced to the store, which has really screwed up our entire plans. But in this video, I'm going to be going through the future outlook to kind of explain what my plan is, as well as what I think you guys should do with regards to getting your team back in this game and how we're going to be building out our squad under these new conditions. Now let's get started with this video, and I think the first thing we got to do is we got to take a look at the training spreadsheet in this game. I know I've been showing this off in my videos a lot recently, but it's really important. This kind of shows you how the market's been moving and shows you how the market's looking right now. And by explaining and understanding this graph in the video, we can kind of use it to figure out how the market's looking, as well as how it might continue to move. Now, as you guys can see right here, this is the time before the training variety pack in the game. The market was very consistent, around a 2 CPT, and the second the training variety pack got introduced into the game a couple of weeks ago, the market spiked up and went to about a 3.3 to 3.5 CPT. Oh yeah, and when I'm saying the word CPT, that's an acronym. It means coin per training ratio, and that's kind of like a measure in the market that shows you how it's moving. When the CPT, or coin per training point ratio, is high, that means you gotta spend a lot of coins to get your training, and that means the market's generally inflated. When it's lower, the opposite's the case. That means you can get cards for cheaper. And as you guys can see, when the training variety pack was in the game, the market was at a 3 CPT, and around this day, on February 1st or February 2nd, I made my video telling you guys to sell off your teams. And in hindsight, I think that was the right decision, because as you guys can see, when the training variety pack left the store, the training market went down to a 1.8 CPT, basically back to what it was before. So if you sold off your players right here for like 300k, and then they went down to say 150k, you could have bought them back, made those coins, and had the same team. But now that EA Sports has reintroduced this training variety pack, well, now the market's in a different situation, and it's on the rise. But there are a couple really important factors that you guys gotta know. Firstly, this training variety pack right here is more expensive than the past training variety pack in this game. This one right now is selling for 12,000 training, whereas the previous one was 9,000 training. Now, what does that mean? This pack being a little bit more expensive essentially means that there's going to be a little bit less demand for this pack in the store, because now that it's more expensive, it's harder to make your coins back, which means that there's less demand to buy up training, and people aren't willing to spend a crazy amount of coins on their training because this pack actually costs more. So if you spend a ton on your training points and you gotta buy a lot of them, it's going to be tough to make coins on this pack. So what I'm kind of thinking is the market should sit, I would say, around a 2.5 CPT. I think that's kind of what we're going to get to. We're at like a 2.48 right now. I think it'll probably hover around like a 2.5 to a 2.6 CPT, which is less than when the past training variety pack was in the store. But even though the market's definitely come down a little bit since when we sold off our teams, and there's proof of that right here in this graph, the main issue is that high-end cards haven't dropped in price. If we take a look at Lamar Jackson, for example, he's still selling in that 400 to 450k range. Jamal Adams, Quadzilla, they're all selling for about 400 to 450, which is like the same prices they were before. So that's kind of the situation in the market. High-end cards are still fairly expensive, even though the market is a little bit lower what it was about a week ago. But what can you do about that? There's kind of two strategies right now that I'm following to build my team back. Now, the first tactic for me 100% is going to be building my team through LTD players. When the training variety pack is in the store, the opportunities in the market are typically through LTD cards. Reason being is because when people open up the training variety pack, they pull a ton of LTD players in this game. So what I'm going to probably look to do over the next week, maybe 2 weeks, is slowly build my team by buying some LTD players that are selling for a really good deal. Now, first example of that is going to be this Rodney Harrison card. As you guys can see, right now this guy is selling for 480k. I would be shocked if his price doesn't come down to 400,000 coins. And taking a look at the stats on this card, he's going to be giving you 96 speed, 97 excel, and really good stats across the board. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is using these LTD players as they come into the game to replace cards that were in my lineup. So Jamal Adams right here is a 96 overall. He was my starting strong safety. I sold him off because I was anticipating a market crash. And when I sold him off, I sold him for I think about like 478,000 coins. So what we can do is instead of waiting to buy this card back, which can be a little bit difficult and can take a little bit of time, I'm just going to use those coins I made from Jamal Adams to pick up Rodney Harrison, who's actually a better card, and we're basically going to be upgrading to that player for free because we sold off Jamal Adams for about 470k. If we buy Rodney Harrison for like 430k, I'm just going to be using those coins I got from Jamal to get a player who's better than him. So that's kind of my first tip. Over the next couple of weeks, whenever we get LTD players, whether it's in some of the new Super Bowl releases, whether it's in Legends, whether it's in any other promo EA puts into the game, I think you gotta look at the LTD players, and if you can find these LTDs for about 400,000 coins, well, what's gonna likely be the case is you'll be getting these LTDs for about the same price or maybe even less than the players that you sold off who were your starters. So I'm gonna wait a day or maybe just a few hours, cop Rodney Harrison for about 400, and that'll put me in a good situation. Now again, it's not like we're gonna be able to build this entire team back in one day. Unfortunately, this is gonna take a little bit of time because we gotta wait for them to release new LTDs. They gotta be good enough players, and then if both those criteria are met, then you go ahead and pick up the player because they will be cheap, guys. Any new LTD in this game other than like gold 99 Tom Brady is gonna probably come down to a price around 400k, and that's actually a really reasonable price for these cards. So that's tip number one. Jamal Adams, who was my starting strong safety, is gonna be replaced right here with Rodney Harrison in probably the next few hours. Okay, now tip number two, and this is one that I'm kind of just thinking of on the spot right here, but boys, let's say for example you sold off your starting free safety or your starting tight end. Well, if there's a way to replace that card with a free player, I think you gotta do that. So for me right here, I advise you guys to sell off your starting tight end, and whoever you sold off, don't worry about buying them back. Just worry about getting Rob Gronkowski up to a 98 overall. There's no reason, in my opinion, to be picking up that tight end you already sold off when you've got a free player coming down the pipe who's going to be just as good. So Rob Gronkowski right here, I'm just going to be waiting to level him up. Same thing with free safety. If you had a free safety and you sold them off, just use Ed Reed. I don't think it's worth going through and buying back those types of players when you can replace them with a free card. So I replaced my starting free safety, who was Julius Peppers, with this card right here, and he'll play just fine for me. Okay, now final tip I'm going to give you, and this is for those of you guys that are looking to build out your team with players that aren't LTDs, which of course is something that a lot of people are going to have to do. It's not like you can just go through and only get LTDs because it will take a while to get your team done that way. There are some other straggler players you're going to have to get, and for me personally, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to build the sets for these players instead of just buying them on the auction block. So right here, the Super Bowl cards might be a bad example because I think these 94s are really pricey right now. Yeah, they're like 199k, but typically with some of like the past promos in this game, like AKA or maybe the playoff promo, it's usually going to be a little bit cheaper to build out the players rather than buy them. It's because usually these set piece cards tend to be a little bit lower. Right now, I will say the market is really weird. People are buying up a lot of like lower overall cards for training, which has kind of inflated some of these prices because people want Tom Brady. But once Tom Brady leaves the store, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to build out some of these sets. And then final thing that I want to say is while Tom Brady is in the store right here, I honestly don't know that it's worth it to actually really make too many upgrades to your team. There are so many people looking to buy training to try and pull Tom Brady. That has inflated the market a ton. I think it's honestly not the worst idea in the world to maybe just scoop up these LTDs. Rodney Harrison, a good strong safety. Joe Flacco, probably the most underrated quarterback in this game. And I think it's kind of worth it to build your team through LTDs for the time being instead of building it through set piece cards until Tom Brady's out of the store. Then the market could come down a little bit. But yeah, those are the tips I wanted to give you.